The Fed15 podcast is presented by Serving Those Who Serve, a fiduciary, fee-based financial planning firm serving federal government employees and retirees all over the country. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be taken as financial advice. All listeners should consult their personal advisors before taking any action. The opinions expressed by our hosts are their own and do not reflect the views, policies, or position of either Raymond James or Serving Those Who Serve.
Welcome, everyone, to the Fed15 podcast, presented by Serving Those Who Serve. Each week, we'll discuss the latest news and info that Feds need to know in 15 minutes-ish, sometimes a run over, or less. So whether you are a seasoned federal employee or just starting out in your career, Fed15 has you covered. So grab your coffee, your energy drink, your green juice, kick back, and we'll tell you what you need to know, but may have missed. We are your hosts. I'm Dan Sipe, and I am joined by the incredible Katelyn Murray.
Good morning, Dan. I guess I should say to listeners, good morning, afternoon, evening, or whenever you are listening in.
Very true. We exist outside of time.
That's true. We do. Very interesting.
We're like Loki.
Yeah. Yes, we are. We are. And as you can see, this is our Thanksgiving episode. I did my best to dress in autumnal colors, but unfortunately, we have the man in black with us again this week. Unfortunately, when this episode airs, we will already kind of know the outcome as to whether we are headed into a shutdown or whether we are not. But you can see Dan's in black.
They made me do it. All they had to do was take care of it by this episode. I had to put the pink one on, and I'll put the pink one on as soon as they fix it. But in the words of Michael Corleone, every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. So
there you go.
Come on, guys. You know, I get it. We didn't have a speaker. Now we have a speaker. Okay. And everybody's not going to get what they want. Everybody's not going to get what they want. We're used to that. We learned that. When did we learn that, Katelyn? What grade did we learn that?
I think that was kindergarten when we learned about sharing and we learned about compromise and we learned it's okay to not get everything that you want.
So please grant my Thanksgiving wish for when this airs. Okay. Pass a CR, pass a budget, whatever. Shutdowns don't help anything. Do things that make things better. Okay. And this was never meant to be a lever of power. Turning everything off is not a lever of power. So pretty pleased with sugar on top. Get to it. Pass the CR, pass the budget. I'll come back out in my pretty in pink. So I'm back in black. Make me pretty in pink.
So instead of a white Christmas this year, we're pulling for a pink Christmas.
Absolutely.
That's the deal.
Absolutely. And I will happily wear it multiple days if need be. So
awesome.
So Katelyn, what do we got this week?
Well, this week we actually have a pretty TSP-centered episode, which I know is kind of a hot topic for folks. This is something that people, I think, are always interested in. Clients are always asking whether they are kind of, what should I be doing with my TSP? Should I change things around? There's all of this political instability and global instability, and, what do I need to be doing with my TSP? And in general, just to kind of address some of that concern before we get into the numbers of kind of what things look like for October, you don't want to be constantly changing your TSP allocation. When you make an allocation, when you set things, you should be taking into account your goals. You should be taking into account your age. You should be taking into account your risk tolerance. And when you build that thing, it's meant to kind of weather different market situations, right? So when we help clients with TSP allocations, we don't know, frankly, whether the market's going to go up and strong growth is going to continue. I mean, we had that brief shining moment over the summer when it looked like we were headed towards correction territory. We more than recovered what was lost in 2022. And it was fingers crossed that was going to continue. It did not. It was kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And it has kind of continued as we get into the TSP numbers here. We'll talk a little bit about that first week of November in particular being kind of interesting. But when it comes to TSP allocations, you do not want to be day trading in your TSP. You do not want to be hopping in there every week or every month and changing up the strategy because the strategy needs time to grow. So we've got two really interesting pieces. Of course, we've got a TSP monthly recap looking at the numbers in October. I'm going to walk you through that. And then Dan's going to talk a little bit about some TSP news. There's a new feature coming out. And then we have an update to some contribution limits. So he's going to walk you through that. Looking at the numbers for October, again, not super inspiring. This was the fourth month in a row with 4 of the 5 funds posting a negative return. We are nearing the end of the interest rate cycle, depending on inflation and employment data. So that is something to be aware of. Talking about the first week of November, I know we're going to look at October numbers, but the first week of November actually saw it was the best week in the markets in 2023, believe it or not.
Absolutely. Yep.
So that is, something to find a little hope in. It's certainly not all doom and gloom. That said, October's numbers aren't the most feel-good numbers. C Fund, we are looking at a negative return of 2.10%, but putting it into perspective, year to date, the C Fund has returned 10.67%. So while October was a little rocky, year to date, we're still positive. S Fund, negative 6.26 return for the month of October. Year to date, we're looking at a 2.03% return on the S Fund. I Fund, negative 3.25% for October. Year to date, we're looking at a positive 3.5% return on I Fund. F Fund, negative 1.58% return for October. Year-to-date return there is negative 2.61%. G Fund, of course, October return is 0.4%. Year-to-date, you're looking at a 3.4% return in the G Fund there. Couple things I want to call out about these numbers. The reason that we give you the October number and then we give you the year-to-date number, we want to put this in perspective. October was a rough month. Looking at just those returns probably doesn't feel so good. But looking at it in the context of the year, there has been progress. Everything is positive year to date except for the F fixed income fund.
Sure.
Reason for that is, fixed income is still fighting its way back from that double bear market that we saw in 2022. And that is not anything surprising to those of us who study markets, because when equities take a hit, they're nimble, they're flexible, they bounce back. Equities move very closely with the market. Because of that, they're volatile, but they rally as quick as they fall, right? Fixed income, different story. When fixed income takes a hit, it takes longer for it to recover because it's just not really designed for, that kind of quick movement in the market. So I'm giving you the year-to-date numbers to put things in perspective. There has been progress if you are invested in C, S, and I. And even the G Fund, the 3.4%, not a bad rate of return for the year. The second thing I want to call out, and I think Dan's going to get into this more, the rate on a CD through your local bank, probably around 5.5% currently. If you're in the G Fund, you've got less than a 3.5% return year to date. So putting that into perspective, I know our feds love the G Fund. We love it too. Be careful. Okay? It's not the best guaranteed type of investment even that you could find out there. So yeah, overall, year to date, still chugging ahead, making progress. Interested to see what the Santa Claus effect will do to the markets come, holiday shopping season.
I love me some Santa.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to kind of see what our roundup looks like for November and December. But for now, I think Dan wants to talk a little bit about
when we get to December, can we bring in that cool song, Hey Santa?
Maybe. I don't know if it's copyright.
All right.
We can hum it.
Oh, there we go. Got it.
I think Dan's going to talk a little bit about macro updates in the TSP and also an interesting trend pertaining to the G Fund.
Absolutely. So, okay, folks, a couple of things. Number one, we get to put more money into TSP next year. That is always welcome. So our annual limit, as we predicted in August, is going to go up to $23,000 a year. That's up $500 from the 2023 limit of $22,500. No change in catch-up. That's still $7,500. So it's going to be $30,500 that you can put in. And drum roll, please, folks, write this down or just re-listen to it when you get to the office. Get ready to set the amount to withdraw from your paycheck to make sure you max. It's going to be $884.62.
I have one caveat to that.
Go ahead.
And you know what it's going to be. The number, if you are below 50 years old, $884.64 and 62 cents per paycheck.
Yes.
If you are over 50, to get max it out with the catch up, that number for you is going to be $1,173.07.
Yep.
So you don't get off quite that easy if you're 50 or over.
Absolutely.
To max.
But your future self is going to thank you. They are writing the thank you note right now. It's gold embossed. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's how grateful your future self will be. So max that sucker. And this is another great opportunity. Another thing that came in, I'm okay with this. I'm not excited about it. As they continue to flesh out the online experience, TSP has brought out a loan tracking tool so you can track the status of your loan application. I'm for that, especially when you look at the TSP class action lawsuit where people were waiting 10, 12 months for a TSP loan and couldn't get any news on it or that type of thing. So I'm more for this than not. And there's also a text message alert system that's in the works for TSP loans. So another conversation for another day. Should you be getting a TSP loan? I don't think that should be the first, second, or even third choice. And Katelyn, I think we can promise to do a follow-up on that, don't you?
Yeah. We can kind of talk through those TSP loan situations. It's not the quick solve that it may seem to be.
Gotcha. Now, up next, and this may slip into a rant. Okay, stats. In October, 2.1 billion with a B. Okay, Bobby Axelrod billion transferred into the G fund. Okay, so think about what Katelyn told you the first part of this about the various funds being down. And since G didn't go down, people decided, hey, let's move it over. Over $1 billion transferred out of the S fund. $1 billion. And okay, yes, I know that was the one that was down the most for October. Folks, listen to me. If you are trying to trade your TSP, you will end in tears. You may get it right once. You may get it right twice. But sooner or later, you're going to miss, and that's going to cost you the other way. And we never remember those because we can't see them or feel them. So, for example, Katelyn, what did you tell everybody about the first 10 days of November? What did you tell them?
Best week in the markets we saw this year. Nobody would have predicted it.
If you jumped out, you missed all of that, and it's a lot. It's moved a bunch. So pretty please with sugar on top. Don't jerk the wheel on your TSP. Katelyn talked about it. Stay with your allocation. You don't have an allocation, reach out to us, STWServe.com. We'll help you figure one out. We've got webinars on this. We've got financial planning. We've got TSP webinars. You don't ever have to talk to us about what we do. Yes, we're a fiduciary financial planning group. Somebody wants to talk to us. We're thrilled to do that. Not required. Thousands of hours of content that'll help you. If you know somebody who jumped into G, share the podcast with them. Let them know about the website. They can come in the middle of the night and take all my free stuff. I'm an idiot. I give it away. Take advantage of me. So seriously, please, please, please. When I see that, I see missed opportunity. Because yes, we had 3 bad months. So now we go to G. In my opinion, there is no way to effectively time the market long term. And if you look at all of the Nobel Prizes for economics that have ever been awarded, there was never one awarded for market timing. There just wasn't. There's tons of other stuff, but never one for that. So, folks, pretty please, sugar on top. Listen, Uncle Dan, don't jerk the wheel just because something happened. Same rule for driving in snow or ice. Don't jerk the wheel. So pretty please.
Good
That's
advice.
what I got, Katelyn. Yep.
Good piece of mind there. Food for thought.
I try and be a good
Food for
uncle.
thought this Thanksgiving week, right?
I try and be a good uncle.
Yeah. Plenty of food on the table. This is food for your brain. Yeah. I like don't jerk the wheel on your TSP. Couldn't agree more. Like Dan mentioned, we have a ton of content on this. Please do check that out. We're going to, in our outro, kind of outline a couple pieces of educational content that you can kind of hop on in the next couple weeks. Yep. But for today, I think that's all the time that we've got. We'll be back next week to bring you all the latest updates that you need to make informed decisions about your career and financial well-being as a Fed. We're here to help.
And be sure to subscribe to this podcast on our YouTube channel or Spotify. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And please, please, please remember to share it with your friends and colleagues.
Absolutely. It's free and it helps us so much. It helps us spread the word. For more information on the topics that we covered in today's show and more, please check out our blog at blog.stwserve.com. You can also subscribe to our newsletter, The Weekly Serving, to get all the latest news for Feds delivered straight to your inbox every single week.
And be sure to visit and check out all of our webinars. Here's a couple you definitely won't want to miss. This is a first timer. We are doing a special FEHB open enrollment, open season webinar on November 28th. That's from 11 till 2. It's going to be different than anything we've ever done. It's just going to focus on changes for open season and things you should know. And don't forget our tax webinar on December 5th. That's also from 11 till 2. That's one of our core 4. Ed Zerndorfer always does a great job with that. You don't want to miss them.
Absolutely. And of course, if you prefer a one-on-one approach, feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help with anything financial planning, benefits, kind of translating, that sort of thing. Our email is askstws@stwserve.com. If you just want to send us a note there, let us know what you're struggling with. We're happy to have a conversation. And I think that does it. That's all our housekeeping for the week.
I think you're right.
We will be back next week. Thank you so much for listening to the Fed15. I am Katelyn Murray.
I am Dan Sipe.
And we will see you guys next week. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a wonderful time with family and friends.
Get me out of black. Congress, get me out of black, please.
Pink Christmas. Fingers crossed.
Pink Christmas.